Hi, everybody. In 2008, I bought my first Model A. It was a 1930. And we soon had a month later, had a pickup, a little half-ton pickup. And we started our Dixieland pickup van. A little while later, I bought a two-door because it was exactly like the first car I drove when I was 12 years old. So I love Model A's. My grandfather had the first Ford dealership on University Avenue. He had a garage in 1909, and in 1911, he was doing so much business, he started snooping around for the dealership. And by 1919, he had a Ford dealership and built a much bigger building. I never got to meet my grandfather. He died before I was born. But my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, was a woodworker and a contractor. And between my dad and my maternal grandfather, they taught me a lot about woodworking when I was old enough to hold a hammer. So I've always been into woodworking. My first couple of sailboats were wooden sailboats. And at a tune-up clinic at Joe Costa's years ago, he had a big chart of all the Model A's, all the models, all the different Model A's you could buy. And at the very bottom, there was a really neat looking vehicle. It kind of looked like a station wagon, but didn't have any back doors. It was all solid wood from the edge of the front doors. And I looked at that and it said 255A special delivery. Wow, that is really neat. Well, I've been thinking about that car. Then I found out Gary Wyrock has one. And with Miles one trip and with Gary Anderson another trip, I went over and took about 200 pictures of Gary Wyrock's Model A special delivery. And I got this wild idea that I wanted to build one. So I bought a rolling chassis from John Aylander, club member, about 11 years ago. And I bought all of the back issues. I joined the Woody Wagon Club. And I bought all of the back newsletters from the beginning of the Woody Wagon Club. Came in a great big box. They have blueprints in them. And I was going to build one from scratch. Then I woke up and said, that might not be a good idea. So about my second month of membership in the Woody Wagon Club, a guy in Ohio said, I'm never going to get around to doing this. I'm selling my special delivery wood, which came from Pleasantville Manufacturing in New York, a family that had been building reproduction wood for station wagons and hucksters, Model Ts, Model A's. And it had been in his shop since September of 1994. And he had an original, and he wanted to build a second one for his son. About 2 years into finding all the model-specific parts, his son finally said, Dad, I don't like old cars. So all of this wood sat in pieces in his shop until 2000. Help me, honey. 11? No, it was about 8 years ago. About 8 years ago, Debbie and I were coming back from a banjo festival in Michigan, and we stopped in Ohio, rented a trailer, and hauled all this wood home. So anyway, we're going to start with, I had to give you a little bit of an introduction because the first picture is going to give a lot of it away. So I'm ready.
So you're ready now?
I'm ready. Sir.
Okay, I'll move it over, and then we'll get a nice bit.
Speaking of tune-up clinics, this was the day of our tune-up clinic, our just last one in May, early in the morning. This is Brad Nelson standing next to me out of his shop and home. And I picked up that vehicle and took it to the tune-up clinic at Halter's house. And as I was unloading it off the trailer, Tom Bakke came up to me, and several other people came up to me, and they said, before you put too many miles on that, you should go to a national meet and have it judged. Well, Debbie and I have never been able to go to a national meet. We've hardly been able to come to any functions during the summer because we're out doing parades. We did 31 of them last summer with our AA parade truck. When I got home from the tune-up clinic, I just happened to pick up the MARC magazine and noticed that the national meet was in Hamilton, Ohio, the first week in August. And I looked at our calendar. The 30th of July, we had a parade in Montgomery, Minnesota at noon. And then we didn't have another parade until the following Sunday. And I said, Debbie, I think we could go to this national meet. And so I started getting on the phone to find a hotel room and so on and so forth. And we did some crazy things. We booked a room and made our plans. We did the Montgomery parade at noon, came home, unloaded the parade truck, loaded this vehicle into the trailer, and drove all night to Hamilton, Ohio. And Jasper Bond, who left a day earlier, he was running interference for me. He called me, so we talked several times while we were on our way to Hamilton. And Jasper said, okay, the parking lot for the trailers is at this school and it's here. And this is where the Post Hotel is. And he kind of ran interference and lined everything up. So when we rolled in very early Monday morning, I kind of had the lay of the land thanks to Jasper Bond. So this whole thing came about because Tom Bakke and several other people made a suggestion. So we ended up in Hamilton, Ohio. It's not
clicking.
not clicking. And Monday morning, we did our registration at the host hotel. We got a big packet of information in a Haggerty bag. And when I looked at the schedule right here, 2-page schedule of 6 days of events from 8 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, clinics, seminars, all kinds of wonderful things to do. It was overwhelming. The whole thing was overwhelming. We were treated like family from day one. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Oh, it's not doing it. Next one.
I'm gonna have to do it for you. Sorry about that.
I brought my own touring class book, and I had signed up for the touring class judging. And as part of all the stuff, I got a license plate, a plastic license plate, and a couple of zip ties. That goes on the front bumper. That was number 28 out of the 48 vehicles that were going to be judged in touring class, including Jasper's deluxe pickup. So Monday, one of the things I got to go to was the AA meeting. And during the week, I also got to go to the Woody Wagons meeting. There were a lot of things that overlapped. I guess that's my only critique of the meet. If you wanted to do this one thing, yeah, you could do that, but now you're going to miss this, or you're going to be an hour late. The Burt's people were there with the new Burt's engine, had a wonderful display, and they gave a wonderful presentation, but it overlapped with the Woody Wagon Club meeting, and I really wanted to go to the Woody Wagon Club meeting. So there were so many things going on. Debbie on Tuesday got to go to the Ladies Drive Model A's, and they had a driving clinic, and they had a deal on how to start the Model A, and Debbie went through all of that and had a lot of fun at it. So there are a lot of things to do, and if you go with your wife, there's a lot of things for her to do as well. There are self-driving tours of the Hamilton and Cincinnati area. Again, there were so many things to do, it was overwhelming, but it was all fun, and everybody was wonderful. They had 365 reservations, and most of them were couples. So there were nearly 700 people there. There were 320 Model A's. I had the only special delivery. And I think, Jasper, you had the only deluxe pickup. Next slide. There were, at the host hotel, one whole row of the parking lot was a swap meet. And right next to it was a repair tent. And there were people working in that repair tent that were very, very knowledgeable. And they also had lots of other people that were willing to help. All you had to do was ask. Jasper was having a little gremlin issue. And it almost looks like public works. One guy is working and everybody's standing around. But there were a lot of knowledgeable people there. The Aaron Harts were there, and met a lot of really, really nice people. Next slide, please. And that's Jasper after they got the gremlin out of his deluxe pickup. Next slide, please. This is the lineup for the safety inspection on Wednesday morning for touring class judging. Every vehicle had to pass, I think Jasper helped me, 13 point, how many point safety inspection?
Probably 13. Lights, horn, brakes,
parking lights.
start stop.
I mean, right down to the emergency brake had to fully engage at the third or fourth click. It wasn't one of these things where, no. So that was the lineup. And once you passed, everything passed, then next slide, please. Oh, that's a picture of Jasper's deluxe pickup. Then we went into a parking ramp that they closed off one whole level of the parking ramp for the 48 cars. And you had to park the car and put both sides of your hood up. And then you had to join one of the 6 judging teams. They had a head judge for each team, and then you had to be part of one of those teams. So I chose left side engine. And I learned a lot. It was really, really fun. They even gave me a judging hat. That was cool. So next picture, please. These are, this was an all-day deal. We had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning for the safety inspection. And the last car was finished at about 5:15 in the afternoon. So it's very thorough, 6 areas to be judged in the car. You start out with 0 points. There are 500 questions. Every question that's answered yes on your vehicle, you get 1 point. And again, I learned a lot, and it was a lot of fun. Next one, please. Here's Jasper's parking. And Wednesday night, after the judging, they had an ice cream social. And they asked Debbie and I to entertain at the ice cream social. We also entertained Monday night, the first night, for the welcome party. And it was worked out pretty well for us. Paid half of our registration fees. We had a lot of fun. Next one, please. This is, by the way, you don't get to see your judging sheets on Wednesday night because the judging isn't finished. Thursday is the grand tour, if you're entered in touring class judging, you have to complete the 60-mile Grand Tour there and back. And the cars in touring class judging led the Grand Tour. So this whole first several holes of the first 48 cars were all touring class. And then there were 120 other Model A's lining up in this parking lot to go on this tour. It was incredible. The tour went through Hamilton, down around through Cincinnati, all the way down towards the river to a place called, wait, there it is. Okay, my special delivery has got terrible blind spots, but you can see out the back windows. And Debbie took a picture of the cars behind us while we were on the tour. So you can actually see, it's a little hard taking pictures inside that vehicle because somebody put 5 coats of Epiphonus varnish on all the wood. It's a little shiny. Next one, please. Okay. The destination for lunch on the Grand Tour was Coney Island. It's been around for 100 years. Really neat place. Once you got there, they checked you in if you're in touring class, but you still had to get back to the host hotel to qualify to have your sheets turned in for judging. So I know it looks like that Coney Island sign is mounted to the roof, but it's actually not. Just, okay, I'll never be a professional photographer. They picked one of each model vehicle and then had us bring those cars into where we were going to eat lunch. And Jasper took this picture of our vehicle. Probably hard to see, but it says Tom Owens on the door. That was my grandfather. I was named after my grandfather. So, and Owens Motor Sales was the Ford, Lincoln, Fordson dealership on University Avenue, just east of Victoria. The building is still there. And I just wish I would have met my grandfather because he was a real character. Next slide, please. That's just another shot. You can see some of the other vehicles. So I think there were 17 or 18 different Model A's in this collection. All right. So that was after we completed the tour, then there were some other events on Friday. The Grand Tour took most of the day Thursday. And on Friday, there's some other events. And Friday night was the awards banquet. And I'm going to show you, I added this at lunch because this station wagon was actually in Fine Point judging. And it was pretty neat. Now I'll show you my finished product. And that's sitting in our driveway home. That's the interior, model specific. Those seats are in no other type of Model A. Next one, please. Again, in the driveway. Next one, left side of engine. We'll stop on this one for a second. The original boards in all this wood that I bought from the guy, the rest of the wood he had laying flat with stickers and covered, but the floorboards he had standing up against the wall. So not only did they warp, they twisted. So I couldn't use them. And 20 years ago, my brother-in-law and I had to go to Debbie's grandmother's farm in Blue Earth County and take down a storm-damaged tree. When we got there, we realized it was a 100-year-old black walnut. And so we split up the wood, had a guy come in with a portable mill, and then I air dried it for about 20 years in my folks' garage, and put a long shiplap in and glued in some curly maple to tie in my former passion of sailboats to my current passion of Model A's. So from the tune-up clinic to the national meet, people are asking me, well, what are you going to haul in there? What are you going to haul in there? Sailboat fuel. So, I thought I had a 450 to 460 point vehicle, and we're sitting at the banquet. Well, they went past the 450s to the 460s, past the 470s, and called my name. Oh, well, it was my first national meet, first time entering a car and judging. I guess I've got a lot to learn. At the 480, 490, all of a sudden, 493 points. Tom Owens in his special delivery. Oh. So they don't mail your judging sheets out till a month later, so you don't go after a judge or something. I mean, I lost 5 points because I put LED taillights in for safety, but they're bonded to a plastic lens. And I took the glass lenses out and laid them on my workshop. 5 points for that. Also, these special deliveries have the same long tailpipe as a station wagon, and it has a second hanger bolt off a bracket on the cross member over the rear spring. I used what they gave me from Aries muffler, which was a piece of threaded rod with a lock washer and a hex nut. Has to be a castellation nut with a cotter pin. So I lost 2 points. So that's where I lost my 7 points. All right.
Did you fix it?
Not yet. I want to tell you that it was our first national meet. It was an incredible experience. I highly recommend doing it. There are a lot of people that we met. This is their annual vacation, going to a national meet. It was an incredible experience. And now, that was us at the awards banquet. Next one is the car that won fine point judging. That is a town car delivery, and it got 494 points in fine point. That's pretty incredible. The next picture is going to be Jasper Bond, and I want you to pay very close attention to Jasper and that shirt, because the next picture is him taking a picture of that town car delivery in the banquet room when they let us go in to see the fine point. Look at it, it's like a mirror. So I'm standing there telling Debbie, after spending a lot of time with Brad Nelson and learning about painting cars, I'm telling Debbie how much work that had to be, how much time it takes to get a paint job that good. The owner was standing right behind me. And he says, I'm really glad you appreciate my vehicle. He said, I'm almost ashamed to tell you how much that paint job cost, but I'm going to tell you, $60,000 for the paint job. Fine point. All right, now I'm going to go quickly through.
That town car also won the Zenith Award in the AACA national meet. It was the top car.
Oh, wow.
There are 2 cars. It was the top, and then there's a second place.
Wow.
Car.
Ken?
I'm curious about that walnut floor. You don't care what kind of wood you use in the vehicle?
Not for touring class, no. No, I mean, the rest of the vehicle is maple and birch plywood, just the way Ford built it. But they didn't have any problem with the floor in back.
I was curious, you mentioned touring class. What makes touring class?
Touring class means cars that you drive.
Right.
Not fine point is cars that come in a trailer, and everybody has white gloves on, and they put them in place. And as soon as they're judged, to go back in the trailer, so they're not driven. Touring class is people that have cars that drive them and want to keep them nice, want to keep them pretty close to original. And so touring class is a little more lenient. They don't judge accessories. I have call lights on my vehicle. The special deliveries never had call lights, but they don't judge that because it's an accessory. Fine points have to be original parts, and they have to be within 60 days of. Yeah, there's a lot more stipulations. Yeah, it's really, Brad is building a fine point for Vince.
Right. Well, I was at it for the first 30 years. Brad's finishing it off now and that, but I started 30 years ago. But Fine Point, an example, they do check the light bulbs in there. They have 2 concentric circles to see that the bulbs are original for the area on there. So it is very detailed.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I'm very.
Oh, I heard about somebody that lost 20 or 2 in judging because of their Owens manual. They had replaced one of the staples with stainless steel, and it should have been nickel or something, so they lost points on that.
I shared with Brad and them. I brought my owner's manual that'll go with my car for Fine Point. It's absolutely perfect. You almost feel guilty letting your skin touch it, you know. In that, I got it 30 years ago in Chicago. So.
Okay, I got a little windy, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to tell you what I went through to build that special delivery, and this is what I started with. This is a chassis, rolling chassis I bought from John Aylander. That I took one winter stripping it down to a bare frame, took the frame to Kramer spring and alignment, had it checked, and took it to my brother-in-law's in Mankato, sandblasted it, powder coated it with 6,000 hour zinc primer, and then 85% gloss powder coating. Unfortunately, I had documented on my phone from this point to when it was a rolling chassis again, and my phone got infected with a weather app that froze it up. And when I took it into the phone store, they supposedly downloaded everything to a cloud, and I lost 30% of my contacts and all of my photos for about 18 months. Photos. So I don't have anything from this to that. When I was dropping off the rolling chassis at Brad's, we did a mock-up build of the vehicle, checking fittings and checking, and then all the sheet metal stayed at Brad's, and the rolling chassis came home with me, where I did finish work on it, and all the wood. So this is just a couple of shots of work that Brad and I did. We actually put the gas tank in at this point. Next one is fenders hanging at Brad's, and there is a finished. Yeah, you can go to the next one. Finished fenders and the hood parts. That's Ford Maroon. It's a 1930 Ford color. Because the special delivery was considered a deluxe commercial, it could be ordered in a Ford color of that year, but I probably have the only one that's not manila tan, like all the station wagons. While Brad was doing all the sheet metal, back in my garage, I was doing all the woodwork. That's when I built the floor Next one, whoop, yeah. That's the roof section. Next one is doors and side panels. That was my first experience using a 1-inch closed cell foam roller for varnish. And Epiphanis varnish made in Holland. They're the only ones that you can use a roller. The other, if you try it with the stuff from Menards, it gets rooster tails and air bubbles in it. But that was done with a roller, a 1-inch foam roller, about 4 inches long. Next one, please. And we can go to the next one. All those pieces, I made a diagram, and then I numbered them with some blue tape. And then as I took them off, took all the screws off and back, on the inside, I took a black magic marker and numbered them all so I knew where they would pack. Because every piece of wood got 5 coats of Epiphanis varnish. And on the final 3 coats, I sanded with 400, 600, 800, 1,000, and 1,200 grit between each coat. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing, right? Next shot, please. So this is where Brad and I started with the rolling chassis. When you're building a special delivery, it's really critical that the cowl is exactly in the right place and exactly perpendicular to the floor. Next shot, please. So that's the cowl in place. And the splash pans. Next one, please. That's the wooden floor. And we had to make sure that it was exactly perpendicular to the cowl, because otherwise all the side panels wouldn't fit. So next one, got the hood on, and yes, that's a chrome headlight bar, which came off, and I put a black headlight bar on for the touring class judging. I made 21 changes. Had to get 3X spark plugs at Rock Auto. The headlight bar was changed. Had to take perfectly good inner tubes and cut the stems off and put steel valve stems. And my wife helped me with that. And she was exposed to some new 4-letter words that I came up with, trying to put those steel valves in. Side panel going in. Next one, please. Another side panel. At this point, the roof went on. And it fit. It dropped into all the tenons and everything fit. Side panels, after I had the varnish on, I took them a letter check on the University Avenue. They've been doing the lettering for our parade truck for all these years. And we gave them the layout. They matched the lettering to the Ford Maroon paint job. And they actually helped me install the lettering. A couple of words on the side of the parade truck is one thing, but to lay that all out and get it straight, I was appreciating the help. Front doors, next one, please. Back doors are on. And this is home back at our house. And then a year ago, between Christmas and New Year's, next slide, please, we put the roof on it in my garage, which, by the way, has radiant floor heat. It was 70 degrees in there that day with heat lamps, and that's Brad's wife, Bernadette, Miles Lindbergh, Raj Anderson, Dave Gerald with the heat lamp, with the heat gun. What?
Get to know your club member really well, Dave.
Yeah. Yeah. Next one, please. So it was a pretty interesting project. That was kind of a tacky shot. I can't help myself. That's finished product. Next one, please. And then Brad came down a week later and we put that front trim piece on because I had to get the vehicle back up to his shop and I didn't want to take it on an open trailer with a loose piece of vinyl on the front. So it got back up to Brad's because we had to mask the entire thing. Both Brad and I put the drip rails on. And they had to be painted after they were on the vehicle. So we had to mask the whole rest of the vehicle for Brad to do the final paint project. And so this is a little shot, and I'd like to just welcome or say thank you very much for allowing me to share this project with you. And this is Debbie and I wishing you all a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I want to say a big thank you to Brad Nelson. I spent a lot of time with Brad and I learned a lot. And I also Miles Lindbergh, Roger Anderson, Gary Anderson, Bob Butek, and Roger Anderson came over and helped me put the engine pans in. I've never done that before, and it's a 3-man job putting the engine fans on. So I had a lot of help from a lot of people in the club. Jasper Bond helped us at the clinic because he's been to the meet because he's been to these before. So had a lot of help from a lot of people in the club, and I really appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom, for sharing